Hello, and thank you once again for checking into the Neutral Zone Hotel. My name is Trevor. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a hometown Vancouver Canucks fan, and I have no idea who's playing goalie for me this year. And with me on this late summer shift, we've got SJ.
Hello, I'm SJ. My pronouns are they, them. And I am a Seattle Kraken fan, and today it misted in Seattle, so fall is here.
Big hype. And Benjamin.
Hey folks, I'm Benjamin. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a Montreal Canadiens and Ottawa Charge fan. Hey, I get to say that now. And I'm about to open and drink for the first time the Oreo Coke Zero.
Yes! I just had one literally 2 hours ago. I'm so excited.
Let's get a live reaction.
Okay, I'm waiting. And
that is my exact face. My exact face.
That tastes exactly like a gosh
exactly
darn Oreo.
Your eyes got real big.
That's no legit. That's exactly what I did.
You don't even like they've done such a good job engineering this. It doesn't just taste like a mixed up Oreo. You get the cookie taste first, and then as that smooths out, you taste the cream underneath, just like if you were biting into an actual Oreo.
And then you get the aftertaste. Yeah, and then there's the chocolate aftertaste.
Yeah, the aftertaste is like pretty well exactly it. So it's they've staged the flavor successfully that it is like drinking an Oreo, and I'm legitimately not sure I'm ready for this as an option in my life. So there you go.
I tried to find the Coke flavored Oreos. I haven't yet, but I'm also really excited to try those.
Coke flavored Oreos?
Oh yeah, you thought that the Oreo flavored Coke was only a one-way collab? No, this is going both ways.
I didn't think anything. This is the first I've heard of these products.
Folks, you heard it first. SJ doesn't think anything.
That's not wrong. Not wrong. I'll own up.
Slaunch it to you, sir.
Did you see that the Toronto Maple Leafs have Oreo as a helmet sponsor this year?
Which is perfect because milk is still their jersey sponsor.
It's perfect. The synergy is undeniable.
It's like poetry. It rhymes.
That's right.
That's right. Well, yeah. So we're going to kind of kick back into our normal coverage. We figured we'd do one more episode before really doing our preseason shenanigans. Which will include a return of an old segment of ours. Just kind of wrapping up some quick summer news and fun stuff. And we're going to start off with the biggest news from the summer. The PWHL, as aforementioned, has names for the teams and logos. How do we feel about them?
Yeah, first of all, I think it's the biggest positive news of the summer. Better
worded. Yeah, you're right.
So 16 names in the run up to it, there was a lot of suggestion that the PWHL was not going to change the original branding concepts from last year. And as we know, last year there was significant challenges in various marketplaces around the proposed naming. So there was a situation where the trademarks were delayed because the PWHL did not file the appropriate paperwork with the United States Patent and Trademark Office to switch their counsel. So they got red tape. For some reason, the United States Patent and Trademark Office, big on red tape. But it's very common for placeholder trademarks to be filed and then switched out during an announcement. And that's what occurred here. So the names likely leaked to the press a day or two in advance, but they held off on it. They didn't spoil it. And we got the 6 new team names: Toronto Scepters, Ottawa Charge, Montreal Victoire de Montreal, I should say, the Boston Fleet, the New York Sound, and the Minnesota Frost.
The New York Sirens.
Yeah, sorry. The Sound was the original name, and Sirens is still pretty close, so it's tough to... Yeah.
I think Sirens is much better.
Oh, no, infinitely better.
Yeah. So I gotta say, I think Montreal really knocked this out of the park. Not just a name, which I think is good, and I do think it's really fun that they've doubled down on having on using a French word and not translating it. I think that really speaks well to like building an identity for the team. But also, I think they have by far the best logo. Any of these, like it looks like a little person with wings, but it's also got like the fleur-de-lis in there, and I like the shield, and it's got like the suggestion of an M, and I don't know, it's just really good. I love the colors. I think it looks great. By far the best of these.
It's the one that to me screams like classy the most, but it just works. It's so good. As you alluded to, like the shield works, the V word mark out of the maroon triangles, then the hidden M in there, the name, just perfect branding. 10 out of 10, well done.
I was a little bit surprised how varied the art styles kind of look across the different logos. Like they clearly were not all designed by the same person or anything. Like they had a bunch of different concepts that came in, and they all look very distinctive, which I think that's great. I think it makes each team feel different, which they should.
In terms of like if we're ranking Montreal first, I honestly think for my second pick, I think Boston Fleet was really good. I love the logo. I love the little wave pattern. I love the nod to it also being like the Hartford Whalers-esque, so that kind of New England vibe. And I think Fleet just kind of really works as a name. Even if it's like the singular one, and I know how most of us, myself included, can feel about singular names, like ones without an S. But
I like them. I'm good with singular names, FYI.
But like,
don't think they're bad. They're also extremely common in women's sports.
Which I think helps it associate its own identity. But yeah, well, I'm down for the Fleet being like a solid like 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any of these names are bad. I think all of the names are fine. I like some of them better than others, but at the end of the day, like they're gonna be able to go forward with these, and it's totally fine. Like I don't think they're gonna. I could see them changing logos down the line. To be honest, that always happens. Like logos are sports teams' logos are so. Like Detroit Red Wings notwithstanding, they tend to change. You know, teams go through eras. But
you're talking to a Canucks fan that they switch between a skate and a whale, two things that have nothing to do with each other depending on the season.
Yeah,
it's true. Don't forget the hockey rink. I thought you were about to say that they were talking to a Habs fan who have had a logo even older than the Red Wings.
Yeah,
ours hasn't changed that much, but there have been some stylistic changes. But the Red Wings has been pretty consistent for about 100 years.
Yeah. So, but the thing is that, like, I don't see that they're going to like do total rebrands anytime soon. These all seem like very sustainable names. Like I think of them, the one I like the least is actually the Frost, just because it's just like a fancy looking F. And I'm just like, this is just like a me thing. And I know it totally does not matter. I don't like it when the logo is based on the nickname instead of the city name. So if it was like an M, a fancy M, I would be like, yes, perfect, fine. But it's because it's an F, I'm like, no. And it's just like, I know that's just totally me. I just think it should be the city name. Should have been an M. Or in this case, the state name.
Benjamin, how do you feel about the Charge?
I think Charge is a great name.
Oh. Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of people don't seem to care for it, but I think it's a legitimately good name. There's multiple applications of it because you could use the term electric charge, you could use, which is what they're leaning into currently, or you could use, the verb, a charge, attack, advance, which is where the name originally derived. It's a perfectly fine name. I have no qualms with it. I think the logo sucks a little, but we'll survive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, you at least get a free built-in chant in the arena. All I got to do is get that little trumpet going. Doodle-doo-doo-doo-doo.
Yep.
It's a bugle,
Charge.
but yeah.
Sorry, bugle.
Yeah, I'm actually hoping nobody brings bugle. I would get annoyed. There's one cowbell, and that's one cowbell too many.
You know that somebody will bring a bugle. The bugle is inevitable. And you're going to be lucky if it's not like a mascot with a bugle.
Oh, I don't think they're doing mascots this year.
Well, maybe that may not be this year, but eventually you are in for the bugle. You should probably write a letter to your season ticket rep, at least one every month, being like, please disallow bugles. You might want to get ahead of it.
SJ, there is no season ticket rep for the Charge yet.
Well,
whatever
they're doing. Whatever they're doing. I actually thought it was interesting that at least 3 of these names have a double meaning. So like Fleet, it's based on the boat thing, but fleet can also mean fast. Sirens, like they're leaning into the whole, like, in New York you hear a lot of sirens, it's really loud, but like also there is a mythical creature called a siren, so there's like more, they're kind of flexible concepts and I like that they did that.
You know, it's impossible to please everybody with branding. That's the nature of it. But I haven't seen anybody who has said they prefer the previously suggested name. And I guess that's a win. That's as close to a win as you can get with a branding exercise like this. And, you know, we've gone through 2 rounds of expansion in the NHL recently, and both new names, people were like, I don't know. And the Golden Knights and the Krakens are, I got my plurals mixed up. The Golden Knights and the Kraken are now firmly established branded teams, and I don't think anybody would change either of them, or very few people would. There's always some massive haters out there.
Yeah, well, it's gonna suck for them. I will also jokingly point out, I did send the Toronto Scepters logo to my girlfriend, who is a big Taylor Swift fan, and she got a big kick out of it.
Honestly, I think that the Taylor Swift connection is perfectly fine. It's fine to skate on things that are more popular than you. Like, I don't think Taylor Swift is going to care.
Oh no. If anything, it's just more free advertising. It's
definitely more, it is distinctive from that music video.
Oh yeah,
so
100%.
It's fine.
And speaking of Toronto, we also got news that Montreal and New York are confirmed to have new buildings going into this upcoming season. Toronto will be taking over the Coca-Cola Coliseum as well as the Toronto Marlies. Montreal will share with the Laval Rocket and taking over Place Bell. Great rink, gotta say. And New York will be taking over the Prudential Center, which is also the home of the New Jersey Devils. Easy upgrade for Toronto.
Continuing the strong tradition of New York teams playing in New Jersey.
Yep.
I mean, New York just doesn't have any freaking rinks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I did think it was interesting that do you know if they have any games scheduled to be in UBS this year, or is it going to be all New York?
According to the season ticket sales, they are selling 14 games, either 13 or 14 games at Newark.
Okay, so pretty much all. So basically they've abandoned UBS as a venue, which I don't know, that's a little sad, but I understand it, especially since, I mean, they also had to change their practice rink, and it's just such a bear to try to get around the metro like that. So yeah, just I think this is going to be really good for the New York team to just kind of be in one spot for the year. That's gonna make things so much easier on them. Toronto is interesting. That rink is so busy now between they're going to have the Marlies, the Scepters, and I think next year they're going to have a WNBA team in that rink.
The WNBA plays in the summer, though. So
yes.
The overlap is
very minimal. It's very minimal, but it's interesting to think about how much they're trying to stuff into that arena, and plus all the concert dates. And I'm like, why don't they just build another 10,000 seat venue in Toronto, in the Toronto Metro? I just don't understand why they don't have more venues of that size. Toronto people, tell me, inform. What's the deal?
Yeah, I wish I had more to say on that, but I'm like you. I'm pretty much clueless. I've been in the city a couple times and like tiny little pinpricks worth, so I don't know. But
New York City is the same way, though. Like, New York City doesn't have mid-level ice sheets and mid-level arenas.
Mm-hmm.
It's all or nothing. You're either at Madison Square Garden, UBS, Brooklyn, or you are at a community rink somewhere.
Missing middle housing has come to professional ice rinks issues. I don't know.
But at least in terms of Toronto, like, that's going to be definitely a nice boost in terms of attendance. Because, like, Mattamy was obviously full every game, but that still only held, 2,500 at most?
2,300.
Yeah, 23. So, whereas Coca-Cola is, I think, 8,000, 9,000? So
7,800.
Yeah.
They should definitely, I definitely think they can sell out that rink. It's going to be awesome.
Easily.
It's going to rock.
There's no doubt in my mind Toronto could support another Coca-Cola Place Bell size venue between 8 to 10,000 people. There's enough media, there's enough sports there that they could. It's just who's going to pay for it. That's the real question, because private developers don't build arenas anymore. So the people of Toronto are going to get screwed. That's all there is to it.
There is also one more piece of news. Minnesota has announced Melissa Caruso as GM, in quotation marks, we'll say. Because I know, Benjamin, I think you had some thoughts on that.
Melissa Caruso comes to us from the AHL, where she was working as Director of Hockey Administration at the AHL Central Registry. So this is not obviously a hockey management role, but certainly is a management role within a hockey organization, if you appreciate the difference, like not a hockey operations piece. Vice President of Hockey Administration, whatever that means. I don't know what the AHL does with their, but this is someone who's been in the game of hockey for 10 years. She clearly has a good resume, and congratulations. The real question is, what level of power does she actually have on this team? Because we found out last year, Darwitz, one of the most respected hockey figures in the state of Minnesota, regardless of gender or age, was completely neutered by the coaching and captain combination. So is this a situation where she's been brought in to rubber stamp requests from Ken Klee and Kendall Coyne-Schofield, or is this a situation where she's been brought in to kind of get that situation under control? I tend to lean towards the former. My honest opinion is that KCS is going to continue to be a major influence within this league over the next 5 to 10 years. As soon as she's done her playing career, I bet you she's going to a job somewhere in either in the Minnesota's front office or the league. But you never know. Things happen and they get weird. Mm-hmm. So I suppose we'll see. But yeah, no, I mean, like, at least they have a GM. Like, there was a lot of people who wondered if they were just going to name Ken Klee to both roles, which has not happened. So, and I think that they needed a GM because I don't think they had the best draft possible.
Here's the thing, though. I don't think that Melissa Caruso, I looked through what she's done, and she really has no experience in player development or player player analysis. And I don't think they honestly hired her to do anything of what we think of as kind of GM jobs. I think she looks like she's an able administrator. And I think that she will do a good job making sure that the buses arrive on time, that they have flights, that they have a rinks to play in, that equipment gets to places. I think all of those kinds of the businessy side of being a gym, I think that's going to be what she really does. And the player development and running the draft and stuff, I suspect that is going to be a Ken Klee and Kendall Cone Schofield led situation, because those are the jobs that they wanted. And from as we heard last year, like, they wouldn't let Darwitz run the draft. They're not going to let Caruso run the draft. So, like, if you think, hey, they didn't have a great draft, like, I don't think that Melissa Caruso is going to fix any of that. And I also think, you said Coyne Schofield would be a major influence in this league for the next 5 to 10 years. I think it's going to be more like 30 years. So I don't think she's going anywhere. And barring some kind of tragedy, I think that she's going to be running this league because she is already running this league.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not arguing with you. Like, there's a possibility she has Jana Heffern's job a few years down the road for sure.
100%.
I'm also like pretty critical of their drafting decisions with the Coyne Schofield regime, and this isn't even just about Britta Curl. Like, I disagree with so many of the statements Britta Curl made in her pre-draft time. She's, said her little apology. Now we get to see if she'll put her, she'll follow through on that particular action. But it's not just about Britta Curl. Britta Curl on talent deserved to go roughly where she went in the draft. They picked Claire Thompson. They didn't pick Abby Boreen with their third pick, which seemed to be what she was waiting for. And Montreal snagged her. And she probably won't play this year. So this is another person off the team. It's the retirements that came out and seemed somewhat acrimonious. So it just feels like the culture on this specific team is very much her way or the highway, or hers and Ken Klee's way and the highway. The league took steps to address this with New York by getting rid of the coach. There was a lot of rumors there was bad blood on that team. I don't think changing the GM is going to make a difference on Minnesota.
Nope.
I think that's a apt summary. But I mean, it is, all things considered, it's still going to be an exciting time for year 2 of the PWHL. I hope they can build upon the momentum that they built in year 1, especially now that they got the branding available, and when they have all the merchandising pretty much all ready to go. And I think I saw something today that they actually got like a much more encompassing array of sizing available for merchandise now.
They've partnered with, so previously the original run of PWHL merchandise was single sourced from one company run by Carrie Price, Angela Price, and Julie Petrie. Oh, and it was not inclusively sized. It was very overpriced, and like, no offense to those ladies in their fashion line, extremely mid. They single sourced the apparel for the rest of the season, and again did not. What?
Nothing.
You don't like how I say it? Apparel?
Yeah, I've never heard anyone say it like that.
The apparel?
Yeah, it just really took me off guard. Continue.
Just checking to see if you're paying attention, obviously.
So this year, what they've done, they basically single sourced a lot of it locally and just did what they could because the demand was so high. They just crushed out whatever cheap stuff they could. This year, they've partnered with multiple brands to come up with different options. And each of those brands has their own sizing opportunities. So if you are a big fat boy like me, there are some stuff in the 4X range, 3 to 4X range, but not everything has that because it depends on the brand they've partnered with. Some stuff only goes up to 2X.
Still, it's a positive step forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's something.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's good. It's good that they are working with multiple different vendors so that you can have a lot of options. And I really appreciate that. That's one of the things that I really appreciate about like shopping at the Kraken team store is that they have so many different vendors and brands that they partner with that there are just like different options, different price ranges, different sizing options, and you can usually kind of find something that you like. Whereas if you only go with one company and if you don't like what they're selling, then you're out of luck. So yeah, it's just better to have options.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that at all.
Do we have anything else to talk about on the PWHL?
Yeah, Sarah Fillier still hasn't signed.
Oh,
wait, really? I missed that.
Yep. So we're still waiting for New York to sign the first overall pick, which we're getting pretty close to the start of camp. Camp's going to be in November, so we're about 6 weeks away. There's still lots of time.
That is a lot of time.
But most teams have signed their first round picks. So Claire Thompson, 2 years with Minnesota. Kayla Barnes, 3 years with Montreal. Danielle Serdachny, 3 years with Ottawa. The Toronto Scepters, 2 years, Julia Gosling. But Fillier still hasn't signed. So we are now at the point where people are getting camp invites to try to earn a spot on the rosters. We didn't see the level of retirements yet that I think we expected to see. So there's going to be some pretty aggressive competition. And there are other high-level draft picks who did not sign. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens as we go through camp, who gets those last few contracts. Is there going to be any holdouts? Like Ottawa is still waiting on Rania Savalainen to sign. She was their second round pick, big defender, stalwart on Team Finland's blue line. If she doesn't sign, then what does that mean for Ottawa, right? So and there are a few other stories like that, and we'll almost certainly keep an eye on them as we go. But Fillier not being signed 6 weeks out, if I was a New York Sirens fan, I would be in the process of beginning to get worried, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I wonder what the holdup would be there. Because, like, it's not like she can sign anywhere else. I guess she could go to Europe, but they don't pay women much in Europe. Like,
No.
so, like...
No, like hundreds of dollars a month.
Her options are basically non-existent if she wants to keep playing hockey in a club.
Yeah, my guess is that they're probably negotiating over dollars and cents.
Yeah.
And the PWHL is not like the NHL in that the salary cap is based on the average value for that year. It is in fact based on the actual salary. So, and the salary does not need to be consistent throughout the years of the contract. So it's pretty heavily rumored that Serdachny signed for lower amounts in years 1 and 2, and then for a crap ton of money in year 3, comparatively, obviously. When Ottawa will have the big money deals, again, comparatively big money deals to Mashmeyer and Jenner and Clark off the books. And then they can make decisions then around who's going to get that money. And, you know, are these people like Jenner's going to be getting close to, if not aging out, certainly starting to show her age. So maybe she gets a little bit less if she sticks around, etc. But it could be that New York's management doesn't want to commit to that kind of money in year 3. It could be that Fillier herself only wants to do 2 years and wants to, like, there were a few first round picks who only took 2 years. Right?
Where's Fillier from? Like, originally?
Somewhere in Canada. I don't know.
No, if she's Canadian, maybe she wants to play in Canada. I mean, after 2 years.
She's from Georgetown, and she played her college hockey at Princeton. Where's Princeton?
Georgetown's Ontario.
I mean, Princeton's not even far from New York, so that's not so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah, so I think it's possible that that's what she wants. But at the end of the day, Connor McDavid had to play for Edmonton. Sidney Crosby had to play for Pittsburgh. You got to go where you get drafted. It doesn't matter if you're the star.
I will quickly point out, too, so I did a quick Google on Seraphilia. The third thing that pops up is her Instagram, and she does mention PWHL New York as, like, her first thing in her bio. Yeah. So
I think
still it's got to be negotiating. That's not like she's got, like, full sour on it, I'd imagine.
I would imagine she wants to play. I would imagine that this is a nuts and bolts conversation rather than a will they, won't they conversation. But I still think that it shows the challenges this league is going to have. And, you know, I'm sure that Serdachny and Fillier and Barnes and the other top level draft picks are not signing for league minimum in years 1 and 2.
I hope not, because league minimum is no money at all.
It's $36,000 American a year plus your housing allowance. 36 and change, which is not a lot of money. But it is a lot more money than most women have ever gotten paid to play hockey. However, you know, these teams, some of them have a lot of people on the cap already. So I wouldn't be surprised if a portion of this is, I want you to take less now, I will give you more later. And I wouldn't be surprised if a portion of this is based on, I don't know that I want to be playing for you 3 years down the road. And so again, I think it's nuts and bolts. I think she will sign. I think we will see her sign before camp. But the fact that she's still kind of holding out and working on this is indicative of, you know, the challenges this league has around retaining talent.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting. Expansion will alleviate some of that with the star level because there'll be more star player slots open. But we're not expecting expansion until after next season at the earliest, because the rumor is after the Olympics.
Okay.
Interesting.
Good to know, though.
I heard that from a very, very highly placed source.
Sweet.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
In that case, we are going to then go to a break. But before we do, just as a reminder, we're now available on YouTube. Go check us out at Neutral Zone Hotel. Smash that like button, hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and leave a comment. SJ will read them.
I will.
They've told us. You can also follow us on Instagram or Bluesky at Neutral Zone Hotel, all one word. And if you go to www.neutralzonehotel.com/Discord, you get a link, and you can click that link, and you can go join our Discord where you can chat with us. I promise we're pretty cool.
You actually don't get a link. It's an automatic redirect.
Oh, is it automatic?
To the Discord.
Even better.
Discord. Yeah. It's a...
Man, technology's so cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, chat with us. We're pretty cool, in my biased opinion. And finally, if you like this episode, make sure to rate us 5 stars on your podcast platform of choice, please. And with that said, cue the musical interlude. All right, we are back, and we're going to go swap now to the NHL in terms of some slight news. We're not going to obviously cover everything because there was a lot, and yet somehow nothing really registered over the offseason. So we're going to cover basically what, as our production document says, all the news we give a bleep about. So I think the biggest one from those few categories, Leon Draisaitl signing for 8 years at a new league high of $14 million a season. Dang. Not gonna lie, that's a bit of a bummer.
Honestly, I think it's an overpay.
Wow. Hot
take.
Yeah, not by much, but by $1 million. But I think Leon is a I think Leon is a $14 million player if he gets to play with Connor McDavid every time he's on the ice. And without him, he's closer to a 12 and a half and a 13. Especially when you consider his age, like where he is on his aging curve.
He's, what, 28? 29? Well, no, hold on. McDavid is 20. Oh, yeah, the Draisaitl was the draft before McDavid, so yeah, that tracks.
Yes. So this deal will take him mostly through his 30s.
Yeah.
They are. I do think they are somewhat making up for the fact that he has been massively underpaid for the life of his current deal. And this deal doesn't even kick in until next summer.
Leon will play less than 15 NHL games in his 20s on this deal. Because his birthday is the end of October. He'll turn 30 within a month of the first regular season of this deal. So, like, again, this is not saying Leon Draisaitl is not one of the best players in the NHL. It's just that with the amount that we currently pay players, I don't think he's better than Nathan MacKinnon by that much money. I don't think he's better than Austin Matthews. I definitely don't think he's better than Austin Matthews. So it's definitely I think it's a bit of an overpay. And I think it is, he's probably earned it because he gave them tons and tons of value in his 20s. Mm-hmm. Like, if you switch the two contracts around from a financial perspective, value perspective, it would be a lot better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do think one thing to consider, though, is I actually think that Draisaitl is going to age pretty well as far as aging curves go. He's, incredible hockey IQ, incredible passer. He doesn't rely on sheer speed to be effective. And he's good when the game slows down. He's good when things are tight in the playoffs. So I don't think that he's going to fall off a cliff when he hits 32 and this is just going to be a horrible drag for the majority of the contract or anything like that. So I do think he's going to age just fine on it.
I am not so sure.
Well, we'll get to find out.
I think the key is, if he falls off, or rather when he falls off,
does he fall off eventually?
Does his cap, by the time he falls off, does his cap hit really affect that much of the cap anymore?
I mean, it's still gonna matter.
It's gonna be a decent chunk,
going up that fast. That 14 million is not going to be what they're paying third liners in 8 years.
No, I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying 14 mil right now is obviously a whole lot of your cap. That's about what, 1/7 of the current cap situation, maybe even closer to 1/6. But but by the time you get to the end of it, it might be under a 1/10. Well, maybe that might be a little optimistic, but the cap's probably gonna be 110, 115 mil by the time
unless we have another global pandemic.
So you can't say that.
Don't put that out in the air.
Sorry.
Don't you talk that evil into the world. So first of all, my concern with Leon and keeping up with his contract is he has spent the last 2 postseasons on one leg. And if that continues to be a pattern, then I don't think he makes it through the contract, because you need knees to hockey. Go ask Thatcher Demko how he's doing without his knees. Or Carey Price, for that matter.
He had a high ankle sprain for one of those postseasons.
Yeah.
And that happens. And he was still great in those playoffs. So
I'm not denying that.
I'm not sure what you're complaining about. This one, he had a broken rib and a broken hand. So it wasn't a knee injury.
Okay, well,
he's actually been very healthy.
Except for the high ankle sprain and the broken rib and the broken hand.
But those are normal hockey injuries. Nobody is ever he doesn't have what I'm saying is he does not, to our current knowledge, have chronic hip, knee, or back problems.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess we'll see. And then the second piece is around the cap. The cap is probably going to go up to $100 million at $4 million a year, and then it's going to slow. And the reason for that is it takes some time for the cap to catch up to the new TV deal, but the new TV deal is not going to increase in money. And the NHL's capacity to raise revenues are significantly linked to the TV deal. There's only so much you can do with ticket prices and merchandise and other hockey-related revenue inputs, jersey ads, helmet ads, and stuff. And a lot of that is already being accounted for. It's the reason why the NHL ripped through the amount of money the players owed the owners as fast as they did. But I don't think they're going to juice those sales too much more. Like, obviously there'll be some.
You're talking about the Canadian TV deal that's coming up in 2 years?
In the Canadian TV deal, it's going to be interesting because Sportsnet probably overpaid for it based on their return. So they may actually lose money, or certainly lose money against inflation on that deal.
On the current deal.
Yeah. It'll be also interesting to see if they'll go with one provider again, or if they're going to maybe split it up between, like, they'll take a hit off Rogers, but maybe get TSN involved, and then Amazon's already getting like Monday night games. So
keep in mind, TSN does have games right now. They're the secondary provider in Canada.
They have regional games.
Yeah,
but not national.
Yeah, but there really isn't a need in Canada for two national game providers like there is in the United States. Just because the likelihood of there being that many games on at once, it's possible they may sell some of those games to TSN or RDS.
It would be fascinating if Amazon wanted to get in on national Canadian TV deal. That would be very surprising to me, but I guess I wouldn't be shocked.
I mean, to that point, there was a news release earlier that's mentioned again that Amazon is doing Monday night games in Canada. And the main reason I saw this is because for the first time in about 10 years, there's going to be a Canucks game not broadcast on Sportsnet.
Yes, and I think Rogers sold them that slot.
Yeah,
that's right.
So because they were losing money on their Monday night games, and they're like, let's put it on Amazon. We're going to recoup something from it. So yes. So I would not be surprised if on the next Canadian national TV deal, it doesn't go for more money if they basically pay the same as they're paying now.
I think it'll go for a little bit more money, but it won't be anything, because that was a long deal. It won't be anything close to the inflationary changes. And again, there, like you said, Trevor, there's the possibility they split it up and sell some to TSN, sell some to Amazon. CBC probably will not be involved because by then there'll be a conservative government, and there might not be a CBC by then. So
rough times.
I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about hockey. But the point I'm trying to make is that the cap's probably going to run up to about $100 million, because if league revenues are like $6.5 billion right now, half of that is $3.25 billion, and there's 32 teams in the league. So it's a very easy math to get to 100 million pretty quickly. And then there's escrow and stuff on top of that. And the incremental revenues is what's going to get us up to 100 million. But then I'm not seeing where massive increases to the cap are going to come from. Doesn't mean it's not going to happen, but I think we're going to do $4.5 million, $5 million for the next 2 to 3 years. We'll get to around 100 million. Then we're going to go down to like $2 million increases.
But that still takes you to 110 by the end of the Draisaitl extension. So
yeah, almost. Yeah, but 110 is, 14 is still going to be, like 12.5% of that. So
yeah. There was one other quick thing on the topic of networks. SJ, you mentioned, not mentioned on this cast, but mentioned to us before, the Kraken Hockey Network. Can you go into detail on that?
Yeah, so this is the really interesting thing that the Kraken are doing this year. So most people are probably not aware that the Kraken have severed their relationship with Root Sports, which is a premium cable network owned by the Seattle Mariners. Basically, in the last, they had basically had a 3-year deal with Root. In the about a year ago. Root started charging Comcast a significantly more money to carry the channel. And as a result, Comcast put the channel up into their premium tier, which dramatically dropped the number of households that were being reached by the channel. The Kraken have had a lot of trouble getting on TV in Washington, Alaska, and Oregon, which is their designated broadcast area. So that's really bad when you're trying to establish a team. And so they finally severed that relationship, and they've brought all local game production in-house. So they now control all of that directly. They own all of their own broadcasts. They have made quite a few changes. They did pretty much hire all of the behind the scenes people from Root who were running the broadcast. And they have also hired most of the in front of the camera people as well. So we're still going to have John Forsland. We're still going to have Eddie Olczyk and JT Brown. We're still going to have Piper Shaw rinkside. We're still going to have Allison Lucan in the studio. There is a new studio co-host, Ian Furness, who is a longtime local sports guy. He's very well known in this market. And the Kraken are partnering in the Seattle area with King 5, which is one of the local channels.
I'm pretty sure I get that up here.
Yeah, you might. So King 5, every game, I think King 5 will have like 15 games. Every other game will also be on their secondary channel, Kong. They also have, and that's over the air, so I can pick it up with my antenna.
Sweet.
They're also partnering, the company that owns those channels is Tegna, and they own channels in Portland and Spokane as well. So they will be on the air in Portland and Spokane. They've also done deals to be over the air in Anchorage and Juneau. And I think they're also going to be over the air in Eugene, Oregon. If you are not in a local broadcast area and you still want to watch Kraken games and you are located in Washington, Alaska, or Oregon, and there is certainly a lot of Alaska that is not in a local broadcast, over-the-air broadcast area, you can watch the games as part of your basic Amazon Prime video subscription. So if you are in those 3 states, you don't have to pay extra, but you can watch it on Prime. And so this is going to be the first like really official Prime partnership with a team, Amazon partnership with a team. And the Kraken claim in their press release that they are going to reach 96% of households in their broadcast area this way, and that for no additional cost to them, which is pretty good. This area is very much an area of cord cutters, so most people have Prime. There are way more people who have Prime than who have cable. So this is a pretty good. And also, since they're bringing all of the broadcast in-house, they are able to do a lot more. They're going to have, with their camera setups, they own the team, they own the building, and they own the broadcast. They have a lot of plans to basically do like a really solid, kind of premium broadcast. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what it's going to look like. Obviously, we're a lot of the same behind the scenes and in front of the scenes talent, but we are going to have all new graphics packages, and things are going to look a little different just because it's not Root anymore. So I'm really excited about this. There are other teams who are going the over-the-air route as well, and they're parting ways with their cable providers and so on. So the RSNs are kind of dead. And you can see them like dying in real time with these deals.
Thank you muchly for that. Benjamin, you mentioned specifically about Yaroslav Askarov and the Sharkies.
Yeah, so I've made it it's no secret that I'm a big fan of what Mike Greer's been doing. He stripped the Sharks down to the nails in record time, brought back multiple assets, and now has one of the best ranked prospect pools in the league. EP Rinkside has them at number 1. I think Athletic had them at number 2. After Chicago and before Chicago in each case.
Mm.
And then they used the assets they got back from the Tomas Hertl trade to acquire Yaroslav Askarov, who is generally considered the number 1 goaltender prospect in the game of hockey. As anybody who has gone through a rebuild knows, in most cases, the hardest thing to get is your franchise goaltender.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't that many franchise goaltenders left, guys you would say I want on my team for the next 15 to 20 years. And Askarov is the latest in a line of Russian goaltenders who has that capacity. He's considered to be emotional right now, and that probably led to his trade demand from Nashville. But, let's be 100% clear. The Sharks took complete advantage of this. And now they have one of the top two-way center the top two-way center prospect in the game. One of the top playmaking center prospects in the game. They have a top 3 or 5 defending prospect in Sam Dickinson, depending on who you ask. They have all sorts of medium level prospects to go with it, and no major roster commitments more than 2 to 3 years down the road, except for Logan Couture. That is what we call a clean sheet. They are a little light on picks for next year and the year after. They recouped a third because they'd sent 2/3 out with Hertl to get the first and the player back they got. And the first and the player went for Askarov. Mm-hmm. But they basically have a full NHL team already in their prospects. And, the kind of team that you can augment with a smart signing or a smart trade here or there.
See Tyler Toffoli.
Yeah. Tyler Toffoli is a good hand. He's already won a Stanley Cup. His wife works on the West Coast, so he gets to move back close to home. And someone's got to score goals for the San Jose Sharks. He can sit there and he can show Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith how to be a consummate professional in the game of hockey. And chances are he's going to put a few goals in playing with them, and that's really cool. Overall, I think they are going to be a better team next year, just with the influx of talent. They were so moribund this year, man. They were brutal to watch. I don't think they're going to be brutal. I just think they're going to be regular bad. Mm-hmm. Montreal was brutal in 2021 under Dominic Ducharme. And I feel bad for the Shark fans out there who had to watch last year. But once you get the right combination of stuff on the ground, the right players, new coach, things can go from terrible to at least bearable and sometimes fun pretty quickly. And last year, the only thing Sharks fans had to cheer for was losing, because nobody on that team except for William Eklund was part of the long-term plan. Next year, they're going to have Eklund, they're going to have Celebrini, they're going to have Smith. Toffoli's going to be around for a few years. Askarov may very well be in the NHL. So you have significant portions of your next 10 years there to cheer for. If Macklin Celebrity goes out and scores 2 goals, you get to walk away feeling good, even if the Sharks lose 5-3.
Mm-hmm.
And as we know, the Sharks losing 5-3 is a vast improvement over a lot of their performances last year. Like, there are a lot of games last year I think they would be like, man, I could really be losing 5-3 right about now. And they're down 10-1, crap like that. So
Swish.
So yeah, I'm a big fan of Mike Greer's work. I think that it is one of the fastest stripped down to bare nails we've seen. I think he's gotten good management back, especially when you consider good assets back, especially when you consider everybody had some sort of trade protection that they moved on from. Like, I get that hurdle. They probably didn't get the price a lot of people would have expected for a player of his talent, but he also had trade protection, and we have not heard yet if he picked his destination, but he did. Like, there's no way he didn't pick his destination.
He was also injured when they traded him.
Absolutely.
Like, I think he had a surgery.
Yeah, so he only came back for the last game, I think, of the season, and then he played in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
He did the old Mark Stone, but yeah, like they got decent value for Timo Meier. They got a first and a prospect who's amongst their top 7 or 8 prospects. Someone who's probably gonna be a top 4 defender in the league for the next 15 years. That's not nothing. That's pretty good. And a first, which they used. I think they used it on this year actually, and got a pretty. Yeah, they used that to pick up Sam Dickinson this year, I think it was.
Yes.
And again, this is a guy that they are considering to be. EP calls him should have been a top 5 pick this year.
I disagree.
You disagree, but I don't think there's any doubt saying he's one of the top 5 defensive prospects in the game right now.
Could be.
Yeah. They're very high on Quentin Musty as well, who was from the year previous.
That's a funny name.
Quentin Musty is a really funny name.
No offense to that man. I do not know you, but it's a funny name.
It reminds me of Rocket League, and that's going to be a complete different tangent that I'm not going to go down, but
okay.
Yeah, great name.
Yeah. They're very high on Igor Chernyshov, who they had projected to go in a first round. So yeah, they're very
Oh, was he
excited.
the guy who got sunburned?
Yeah, he's the sunburn guy.
That poor man.
And I think that, I get why a lot of teams wouldn't want the sunburn boy. You want someone who shows a little bit more maturity and maybe a little bit more steadiness in the game, especially if you're picking in the 20s. You're probably an established team. You're looking for somebody who maybe is able to contribute in the bottom 6 over the next 5-year period. But the Sharks have the ability to take swings because they know that their number 1, number 2 center slots are taken up. They've got 2 wingers in the pool that are probably going to be top 6 wingers. So why not? Why not take your second round pick and go for the guy that's got talent, but maybe was devalued because of some intangibles and some injuries, right? This is the sort of pick that pays off well when it pays off. And I think when I look at draft slides, there's 2 types of draft slides. There's draft slides for reasons that make sense. And there's draft slides that happen because of a sudden feeling or a sudden impact, something, and it just happens. Everyone just passes on somebody. And this feels a lot like the latter. This does not feel like the former. So I'm excited. I'm really excited for this prospect pool to enter the league. Especially after how long the Sharks have been just a top team and just never,
Got over the hump.
Yeah, they went from being an NHL, like a finalist in the late 2010s, complete teardown, began a year and a half ago. They've got everything stripped down to the boards. The only thing they have left to do is if Logan Couture can play hockey and decides to play hockey elsewhere, that might be able to get something for him. And then it's sign some short-term guys, get some fifths for them, maybe launder a contract or two next year when you have some slots available. And yeah, I firmly believe that using your available slots was the smartest thing for them to do. Still on that hill. But yeah, I think that they're like, they've got 12 NHL prospects, like of which 5 of them are top tier. That's a wealth.
It'll be interesting to see what they can do with it.
Mm-hmm. All right. We've got only a couple more things to go over. We might push something to later on.
Yeah,
I do want to take a quick, because we just found this out earlier today as of recording. This is going to be something that's a little close to me. Vancouver Canucks forward Dakota Joshua put out a statement saying that over the summer he felt a lump around his testicular area, and turns out he had testicular cancer, which is wild and scary to think about considering he's only 28 years old, 27.
I had a friend in college who had it. It can happen to very young people.
Mm-hmm. Thankfully, it sounds like they caught it early enough. He has had it surgically removed, and he should be fine. He's recovering from the surgery and will be back, not necessarily in time for the start of the season, but probably a couple months in. But, it's always a good reminder to guys and or gals / non-binary pals. If you've got some junk down there, don't forget to check it here and there. Because as SJ said, it can happen to anyone. So,
no. And we're wishing Dakota Joshua a rapid recovery.
Some of us more than others.
Yeah, no. And congratulate, great work for the medical team. And yeah, I would say it's always important to keep an eye on, yourself. Mm-hmm. For those, since we don't do video, you can't see that SJ is currently wrestling with their dog Leaf to keep him from pouncing into the recording,
breathing directly into the mic.
It's actually really funny because SJ generally bribes him with a treat before we start.
I have given him so many treats.
Trevor just posted we passed an hour, and he's just like, I'm done with your crap.
Yeah,
get off the podcast, parent. I'm tired.
That's right.
Well, unfortunately, Leaf's gonna have to wait for just one more bit. We are gonna talk about Johnny and Matthew Gaudreau. We're not going to go fully into the details. You've all heard this all before. It's been a few weeks now since their passing. But specifically what we wanted to bring up is what's kind of happened in the aftermath and some of the positive stories that have come from it. Specifically, Benjamin, you mentioned in Calgary, where we've seen images over the last couple weeks of the outpouring of love and the tributes that fans have left behind for him.
Yeah, so the Johnny Gaudreau played a large portion of his career in Calgary and was beloved and still is. So the fans of Calgary have left hundreds and thousands of memorial items at the Saddle Dome, and the Calgary Flames have made a very, very conscious decision to use those to honor the memory of the Gaudreau brothers. So I'm just going to go down the list. If you haven't seen it, it's up on the Calgary Flames website, but they have carefully photographed it and the site, including all chalk drawings, posters, signs, letters, messages, and they'll pass on in photo albums to the Gaudreau family, at an appropriate time. The hockey sticks left will be turned into benches that will be donated in local charity drives. So the local charities will receive them and can, auction them off or sell them or get a grant to place them in memory of the Gaudreau brothers. The Skittles, because, obviously Johnny's nickname, many, many, many thousands of bags of Skittles were left. They're taking an exact count of those and will make a donation equivalent to the retail cost to the Calgary Food Bank. Same with purple sports drinks. So the beverage containers will be emptied and those will be turned in for deposit, and that money will be donated to local sports opportunities for kids in need. Stuffed toys will be donated to Parachute for Pets, which is a charity supported by Michael Backlund and Mackenzie Weegar, which will be used for a program that ensures children in care can stay with their pets by providing essential support, leashes, collars, vet care, etc. The jerseys will be laundered and turned into blankets that will be donated to charitable donations. The flowers will be composted, and the compost will be spread to community parks in Calgary. And whatever's left over, they'll figure it out. They say they will review it, but I think that's a pretty robust plan for what was a earnest and honest outpouring of support in the city of Calgary. And yeah, I think that there are a lot of tragedies in this world on any given day. And in the grand scheme of things, 2 young, promising lives ending is not atypical, or is not unusual in and of itself. But what was unusual was that Johnny Gaudreau and his brother, Matthew, got a chance to touch the lives of millions of fans of the game of hockey. Both men are remembered with nothing but absolute class, not just the usual stuff that people say after some people die, but really, truly well honored and remembered by everyone who knew them and worked with them and got the privilege to see them play hockey. That is atypical. So yeah, thank you to the Gaudreau brothers, and condolences to their family and everyone who loved to watch them play, because I know I sure as hell loved to watch Johnny play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I know I sure as hell hated watching his team play mine, but I will never forget sitting at home, Game 7, Calgary and Dallas, the game that really introduced the world to Jake Ottinger, who stopped 59 of 62 pucks. But the problem was he couldn't stop that 62nd because it was Johnny Gaudreau who just rifled it top shelf on one of the coolest goals we'd seen. Won the series. And just that video, the video of that, something related to it popped up on my YouTube feed the day after he died. It was all playoff overtime series winning goals in like the last, 15 years or so. And I'm a sicko. If something like that pops up on my feed, I'm gonna click it. And when that goal showed up, I got a little teary-eyed. I scrolled down to the comments, and I was definitely not the only one. A lot of people pointed to that timestamp and that goal, and just with a lot of love and admiration for what he did and what he gave to the game of hockey and to us, the fans.
Yeah, I haven't been watching hockey for very long, but that very first year that I did was the Kraken were terrible that year, and I watched a lot of Calgary Flames games because they were playing some better hockey, and I really came to love watching Johnny Gaudreau play. So I'll always remember him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it speaks to the capacity of any community for kindness and good, because at the end of the day, it's a terrible tragedy in the game of hockey, but the things that have come out of it in terms of the fans and the teams, the people involved, it's a positive outshowing of love. Mm-hmm. And that reminds me that there is hope in this world, because we do have the capacity to be kind to each other and be kind to strangers and to show love for people that we don't really know, even if he scores against our favorite hockey team. Mm-hmm. Or if he scores for it, but then goes to a different city later on. So yeah, I don't know. It's truly sad, but also, when you see that love, you can't help but feel a little inspired by it.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely, again, another, between that and another incident that happened in my life, it was a very stark reminder to, tell your friends and your family, tell the people who matter to you that you love them, that you care about them, because you never know when you're going to get that chance again. I love you guys. Love both of you on this call with me.
Aww.
If you anyone out there listening, we love you very much for listening to us ramble and just letting us have fun doing what we've been wanting to do for a while.
Yeah. And thank you for joining us for season 2.
Yeah, season 2 kicking off right now. So
Yeah.
We'll be back with a preseason preview. We will be back soon with a preseason preview. I cannot wait. Yeah.
The haikus are coming back, folks.
Yeah, that's what that was. That was supposed to be a
Yeah.
hint, but SJ just gave it all away. So
I have most of mine already written, so I'm very excited to drop those off. All right. Thank you so much, all listening. SJ, Benjamin, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for those kind words. Yeah. Whew, gotta compose myself now. You have been listening to the Neutral Zone Hotel. A Neutral Zone Hotel is written, hosted, and produced by the NZH crew. You can find out more at neutralzonehotel.com. Shoutouts to Emily Mowbray, who designed our fabulous logo. As aforementioned, you can follow us on Instagram or Bluesky at Neutral Zone Hotel, all one word. You can join our Discord at neutralzonehotel.com/Discord if you want to hang out with us. Please do. We're really cool, I promise. If you like this episode, please rate us 5 stars on your podcast platform of choice. Thank you for listening. We'll see you soon.